Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session on current affairs, wherein I'm going to cover the most important news which unfolded in the first week of June 2022. We'll begin with the bad news which happened in the Himalayan nation Nepal. A small plane which went missing last Sunday was found crashed near Lamche River in the Dholagiri segment of the Himalayas. The plane was carrying 22 passengers, which also included four Indians, all from Mumbai. The aircraft was scheduled to land at Jomsom Airport in Mustang Valley in the Western Himalayas. It is a popular route with the foreigners preferring trek on the mountain trails and also with the Indian and Nepali pilgrims who visit the revered Muktinath temple. Nepalese army launched a full-scale search operation, and they concluded that the crash took place under the landslide of Manpati Himal in the Mustang district of Nepal. The crashed plane was found later in the at the Kowang village. The Information Directorate freshly summoned Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi once again in the coming week in the money laundering case. The money laundering case against the Gandhi family was initiated in the year 2016. The case against Young Indian, which owns the Associated Journals Limited (AJL) and its properties worth rupees 800 crore, was first filed by the Enforcement Directorate in the year 2016. Sonia Gandhi and her two children, Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi, are majority stakeholders in Young Indian, which was incorporated by them along with Sam Pitroda and Suman Dubey in the year 2010. ED is probing transactions of rupees 90 crore extended as loan by Congress to the Associated Journals Limited, the publisher of National Herald. It was later written off in lieu of rupees 50 lakh paid by Young Indian after it took over the Associated Journals Limited and its property worth rupees 400 crore. In another development, Enforcement Directorate also arrested Satyendra Jain, the minister in Kejriwal cabinet at Delhi, in another case. India's infant mortality rate has shown significant improvement in the last decade, falling from 47 in 2010 to 28 in 2020. This drop brings India's IMR closer to the global IMR of 27. In fact, mortality rate is defined as the number of babies less than a year old who die for every 1,000 live births. It is important to note that in 1971, India's infant mortality rate stood at 129. The states which showed the most improvement were Jammu and Kashmir, Delhi, and Kerala. However, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Assam were the states which showed least improvement in the last one decade. In the year 2020, the maximum IMR was recorded for the state of Madhya Pradesh at 43, which also had the highest IMR of 62 in 2010. In 2020, the infant mortality rate was lowest for the state of Kerala, stood at 6 among the bigger ones, whereas Mizoram at 3 and Goa at 5 had also even lower levels. The Russia-Ukraine war now enters and completes 100 days this week. On February 24, 2022, Russia had launched a full-scale attack on Ukraine. More than 3 months into the war, Russian forces now control 20% of Ukraine, an area greater than Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg combined. This control is likely to strengthen Russia's negotiation position in any future peace talks between the countries and expand Russia's capacity to launch attacks deeper into the Ukraine. The United States becomes India's largest trading partner. US surpassed China to become India's top trading partner in 2021-22, according to data released by the Commerce Ministry. The India-US bilateral trade now stand at $119.42 billion, which is a sharp jump from $80.51 billion in the previous financial year, 2020-21. India's exports to United States grew from $51.62 billion in 2021 financial year to $76.11 billion in 21-22 financial year. Similarly, imports also rose from about $29 billion to $43.31 billion over the same financial year period. India's trade deficit with China continues to grow from 44 billion in FY21 to 72.91 billion in FY22. The US is, however, one of the few countries with which India has a trade surplus. In the last financial year, 21-22, India recorded a positive trade balance of $32.8 billion with the United States. China has countered that China still remains the top trading partner with India. India-China trade also grew during the period, but with a lower rate from $86.4 billion in FY21 to $115.42 billion in FY22. China was India's top trading partner from 2013 till 2013-14 till 2017-18 and also in 2020-21. Before that, the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, was the country's largest trading partner. UAE was the third largest trading partner of India in the last financial year, 2022, with $72.9 billion of trade, followed by Saudi Arabia at $42.85 billion and Iraq $34.33 billion and Singapore $30 billion. China's counter-Quad strategy suffers fresh hurdles. Talks between Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and 10 Pacific Island nations failed to reach an agreement on a wide-ranging security deal on Monday, May 30th. A virtual summit of the leaders and foreign ministers was expected to discuss proposals to radically increase China's involvement in the security, economy, and politics of the South Pacific. But this was seen as a reaction to Quad bloc, which is US, Japan, Australia, and India's move to strengthen maritime security cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. Through this deal, Beijing wanted to offer millions of dollars in financial assistance, the prospect of a China-Pacific Islands free trade agreement, and also to access to China's vast market of 1.4 billion people. Ahead of Wang's visit, China proposed a pact that would see Beijing train Pacific Island police become involved in cybersecurity, expand the political ties, conduct sensitive maritime mapping, and gain greater access to natural resources on land as well as water. The Life Insurance Corporation, which recently made its debut on the stock exchanges, reported a profit of 23.72 billion rupees for the March quarter. This is considerably lower than the profit of 28.93 billion rupees it recorded a year ago for the same period. India's biggest insurer, LIC, and the largest domestic financial investor also announced a dividend of rupees 1.50 per share with a face value of rupees 10 each. LIC's net premium income rose from 1.2 trillion rupees to 1.44 trillion rupees during the last financial year. Its insolvency ratio, a measure of an insurance ability to meet its long-term debt obligations, rose to 1.85 from 1.76 a year earlier. However, the Life Insurance Corporation's 13-month persistency ratio, the number of policies being renewed, fell from 73.24% to 69.24%. The center manages to contain the fiscal deficit. Higher tax collections and growth in the nominal gross domestic product helped the central government contain its fiscal deficit at 6.7% against its own revised estimate target of 6.9% for the financial year 21-22. According to data released by the Controller General of Accounts (CGA), fiscal deficit was contained under 99.7% of the revised estimate, despite overall spending being higher than what was budgeted for. According to CGA, the FY22 fiscal deficit was rupees 15.86 lakh crores, which is marginally lower than the revised estimate of 15.91 lakh crores. Overall expenditure was expected at 37.9 lakh crores, with capital expenditure of 5.9 lakh crore falling marginally short of the rupees 6 lakh crore budgeted for. Also, bringing the good news to the economy, the goods and services tax collections for the month of May rose 44% on a year-to-year basis to over 1.4 lakh crores. It was, however, 16% lower than the record collections of 1.7 lakh crore in the month of April this year. This is only the fourth time when the GST collections crossed 1.4 lakh crores since inception of the GST, and the third straight month since March 2022. Going forward, the collections are expected to stay robust, which also is an indicator of the strong economic growth. Earlier, ahead of the compensation regime of GST coming to an end on 30th of June, Center released the entire compensation of rupees 86,912 crore dues to the state. Center is mandated to compensate states until June 30th for any loss in revenue under the GST regime. The government had earlier clarified that the compensation period may not be extended beyond the June end deadline. To meet the shortfall in the GST compensation to the states, the center said that it has borrowed 1.59 trillion rupees in the financial year 2022 and rupees 1.1 trillion rupees in financial year 21 from the market, and has passed on to the states. On the sports front, Rafael Nadal wins 14th French Open. Nadal won a 14th French Open and a record 22nd Grand Slam, defeating Casper Ruud. He also became the oldest male champion at the Roland Garros, which is the French Open. The 36-year-old Nadal defeated Ruud in straight sets 6-3, 6-3, 6-0, with the victory coming 17 years since he claimed his first French Open title in 2005 when he was just 19 years old. Nadal is now 2 games ahead of Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer, who have won 20 Grand Slams each. Interestingly, prior to the event starting, Nadal was not even sure of his participation in French Open due to his chronic foot injury, which has flared up again. In the female segment, world number 1, Iga Swiatek defeated Coco Gauff to claim her second Roland Garros, the French Open. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to press the bell icon to receive regular notifications and videos like this. And also don't forget to subscribe our other social media platforms.